process of developing faith is oftentimes thought of one within the outside world, within being more than what you were yesterday to those around you, in your situations, and your environments. But I've come to find more than anything, it's an internal sense. It's an internal sense of faith and belief that can lead you to any other path in this life. You see, just like many different things in our society at this current point and many times before, we were based in the physical. We were based in the idea that everything outside of us is what's all important, that there is no real us. Our emotions can be looked over. Our spiritual side, well, maybe we don't even believe in the spirit. But everything else is what's important. Materialism is what's important. We need to have something on the outside world to show for us. Right? I mean, that's the common idea of society. Yet, there's people that live in the mountains all across the world who have peace, who have bliss, sitting there, doing nothing, but meditating, being in reflection. Who knows exactly what they're doing? Because they have an internal sense of the world. You and I cannot see what they're doing if they are in their head, if they are in a different space reality, possibly. But that's another story for another day. Their understanding of faith, their understanding of their reality is what gives them the opportunity to live differently than everybody else. They have developed a space within their mind that allows them to create and choose how they feel. You see, but again, back to what I was saying about where we are all at as a society. We live in a world where we're all controlled by materialism. We're held back by the ties to the physical world. Whether it's having to have everything, I need to have this money to have this house and car and da 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 da. Which, don't get me wrong, have all that you want, but don't make it your life pursuit. Because those that do that, whether they achieve it or not, that's still not fulfilling. It may feel good, but it's not all there is. You hear plenty of different extremely successful people say this. You see, money just exacerbates who you are before you have it. So if you're kind of baseless and you are going for money in certain ways, if you're spiritually baseless, you don't have a real emotional connectivity to your inner true self, to divinity, and you happen to, I don't want to say get lucky, but like for me, it'd be getting lucky. If I was to be successful with that kind of situation, it'd be lucky for me. I was never able to get anywhere when I was like that. But anyways, if you were able to become successful financially, let's say, without that spiritual connectivity, you'd probably come to the point where you said, you know what, there's got to be more than this. And we hear plenty of stories about this, if you're being real with yourself, right? What I'm trying to get at here is the impact, the purpose, the having a real mission, being connected to divinity, being connected to some sort of higher sense of self, allows you to really see the mission. It allows you to actually have a path to follow down, outside of just the materialistic conquest of finances. But again, if you're attached to any one certain thing in the physical world, well, it's very hard to be connected to your true self. You see, because a man should be like a mirror. Alan Watts talks about this. A man should be like a mirror and reflect what's going on within the inside world or to the outside world. We should not attach to anything ever so greatly, because that's when we're not really in the natural ebb and flow of the universe. Like, the universe is always moving around and there's always something else going on. There's always something changing. And if we're over attaching to something in the physical, something that's not spiritually based, something that's not of real dimension, I guess you could say, not of a higher sense of self, it's not from the higher senses, most of the time we're going to face pain regarding it. We're going to run into some sort of issue because of it. Anyways, back to my original point of developing the internal faith, developing the sense of self inside of you, It helps you see the world in a positive, productive, progressive way. It helps you understand where you want to be in this life and who you want to be for the right reasons. Developing that inner sense of faith that allows you to move with pride and power, consciously, knowing that the path you're on is one of greatness. It is one of true fulfillment. Meaning you're actually making the world a better place in some sort of way. I've told you guys before my belief on spirituality, all religious bases. And again, this is coming from someone who hasn't spent a ton of time learning about religions just yet. But I don't know if ultra religious people would disagree with me to say that I think the whole basis of all religion, of all spirituality, is to make the world a better place. It is to live with humans more productively, to blend together better as a race and make it better, to expand the consciousness, to expand the conscious awareness of all of us so that we can transcend the physical world. And it goes on and on in that realm. But what happens is, in many religions, people become overly attached to the stories. Again, materialism. Instead of it being an internal, developed sense of faith within the religion, meaning the messages and the ideas and the themes of the stories being what's internalized to your own daily pursuit, to your own lively pursuit. Instead of it being that, it's worrying about these different stories and living perfect by the definition of the Bible or whatever religion, whatever text. What I'm trying to say here is, like, we go to church and we listen to preachers preach the message of the Bible, preach the message of this or that. But do we really internalize it? Do we really study those words and their interpretations to make our own? Or do we, because there's plenty of people out there that just go to church and don't really do anything with the information. It's just like a feel-good kind of situation. And I believe that's the devil. The devil that holds people back from really internalizing God's work, really internalizing the universal faith. You see, I believe that if we're really working with God, we're expanding our awareness to the point where we're going to make the world a better place in some way, shape, or form. I don't mean you have to do something gigantic, but I mean really being the change you want to see in your situations and in your developments. Whether it's something as big as your community or as small as your kids. I mean, I say small, don't get me wrong, that's the largest thing we can ever contribute to is our kids, so don't take that any sort of way. But my point is like having that internal sense of faith, working with the universal intelligence, loving life, loving the universe, loving the world, just spreading love ultimately is one of the most fulfilling conquests you can have. There is no varying scale on the size of it. It is just living to your true capacity, living to your highest potential. Whether that is, again, making sure you do the absolute best job as you can with your children, with your community, with your distant family, with the world, whatever it is. Living and working with God, or living and working with the universe, is being as best as you can to other people, like in the right way. Helping people earn the goodness of the greatness of life, progressing on your own path, and helping others progress on their path, and understanding that comfort is the devil, or at least I should say overly comforting situations that take your ambition. That's the devil. That's what will keep you from being anything you want to be. Being ready to continue progressing and reiterating for success in any capacity. That is God. That is working with God. That is working with the universe. We're meant to always be progressing while being grateful, while being completely grateful for where we're at. And so developing this internal sense of faith is knowing that everything you're a part of is for the right reasons. If something's out of alignment, then you got to fix that. I'm sorry. Having internal faith is developing your life to the point where which you have an internal knowing that everything you do is in alignment. Because we don't start out in alignment in most cases. It's our own process of learning how to find alignment that is the process of life, that is the journey of life. And when we turn away from this alignment, when we turn away from our true self's voice, the working of divinity working through us, putting us through pain, when we turn away from that, well, that's the devil. That is working against ourself. That is working against our highest self. That is being overly attached to the physical. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of people out there who just avoid spirituality because it's a lot easier to. It's a lot easier just to say, fuck it, I can do whatever I want, and there's no repercussions. That's a whole lot easier than living up to it's a whole lot more comfortable and easier in the short term to do that than it is to really believe that your actions do have consequences, and there's a greater life. And more than anything, it's a greater life to live, right? I don't think it's very productive to kind of spread the word of like hell and damnation. Truthfully, I believe that you either live in heaven on earth or you live in hell on earth. I don't really concern myself much with the afterlife at this point. I think those two places are somewhere you're at on a day-to-day basis. If you're out of alignment, well, you're in a part of hell. If you're extremely out of alignment, then you're in into the depths of hell. If you're in alignment and you're doing all that you can, you're living purposefully, that is heaven. Anyways, being on the path, being a part of the development of ourself to understand what hell is, what our version of hell is versus what our version of heaven is, and connecting the dots from one to the other, that's an internal process. That's a process nobody else can do for you. So just going to church on Sunday and hearing the words and not really doing anything else with it, that's not doing that internal process. The internal process is your development within it. It is your application and bringing it to your everyday life. Whatever it is, whatever your version of spirituality or religion is. Because it all goes the same, and if we don't apply it, and if we don't internalize it, and if we don't apply it through internalization, or the other way around, if we don't internalize it through application, we're not really doing much with it. We're kind of just feeling good in the moment. Just like reading any book, we have to learn it, we have to read it, apply it, to internalize it, to actually have it be a part of ourselves. So are you developing that internal sense of faith? Are you being on the path that allows you to grow into a bigger version of you? Or are you allowing life to slow you down from ever doing that? Are you allowing everything in the physical to prevent you from the true internalization of universal faith? When you step into the unknown, the universe will support you. The universe will support you. It may support you in a funky seeming way or in a painful way, meaning it might send you something from your past life. And you have to be the one that breaks the chain. You have to be the one that steps back against it and says, no, this is my new life. And you might ask, how is that supporting you? How is the universe supporting you by giving you a test? Well, that's exactly it. It's giving you a test so you can pass. So you can be in that new life. Just because it's hard doesn't mean that it's not trying to help you. In fact, things help you the most when you feel pain. Meaning the most change is made from pain. The most change is made from pain or from the fear of future pain. So push against that old life. Push against it and really transform into the new version of you. And know that when you make mistakes, it's okay. Skip the guilt, dude. Skip the guilt and get back on track. Analyze what happened. Realize what it was that threw you off. And then move forward. Reiterate with the right intention. Develop that internal sense of faith, man. The universe will support you, but you have to have faith in it. You have to have faith in yourself. See, the universe is always having faith in you. It always understands your possibilities and capabilities. It is unwavering. It knows all of your possibilities, from the lowest depths of hell to the highest highs of heaven. What will you choose? What will you choose? Guys, I love you. Have an amazing day. Let's go.